Bangladesh are up next, and if they can pick up 2 points, it'll really set the group up nicely, because that's the next game we're going to talk about that's coming up. It's an interesting double-header, because for once we're going to have a double-header at the same venue. England, 4 teams will be lining up in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be crowded there. There'll be traffic jams in the city. So 4 teams will line up there. In the afternoon, England will take on Bangladesh in match number 20. And after that, in Abu Dhabi, it's going to be Namibia taking on Scotland. That's the 4 teams that will play in Abu Dhabi back-to-back. Whether or not it'll affect the surface is something else we'll talk about. But Harsha, straight up to that first game. Everything for Bangladesh to do to try and pick up 2 points, 2 crucial points for them.
And they need those points if they genuinely believe deep down that they can compete with all the others in the group. Because I was looking at that points table when it came up, and I'm thinking, yes, England looks like a side that can go the distance. Which of those other sides is a side that someone in the other half will fear? And unless Australia strike form again, or Sri Lanka come back. Sri Lanka have got some really good match winners. I don't see a side over there. So Bangladesh have this opportunity to say, you know what, we had a blip against Scotland. We are better than that. But yeah, it's a huge game for Bangladesh.
One of our pundits one of our colleagues on Crickbuzz Live, Dinesh Karthik, has tipped Bangladesh to be a semi-finalist from that group. So we're going to hold him to that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
We're going to hold him to that. But let's have a look at the squads for England and Bangladesh, and we'll start with the team we just mentioned, that is Bangladesh. Anything, Joy, that you're seeing there that needs just a bit of tweaking from what they've done in their last game?
Look, I mean, to be honest with you, there aren't that many good players sitting outside, and that's the one thing they'd say. I mean, this is not the kind of pitch where Thaksin Ahmed is going to do very much. I think they'll depend on their spinners. They'll go with the combination. The good thing is that Mustafizur is in some sort of form, in the kind of form, maybe not the kind of form he was in 2016, but certainly better than his 2017, 2018, 2019 years. So this is a good side. I think Shakib is playing at his best cricket, and Shakib probably realizes this is his, maybe he might play the next World Cup, but this is his best opportunity to do it, because the kind of surfaces that are going to be in Australia next year is probably not suit him as much as these two. So this is their chance. And I don't see too many changes at all.
Yeah, quick one though. If Abu Dhabi does play as it's expected to play, Abu Dhabi is widely believed to be the best surface amongst all of them, where the ball comes on a little bit. Bangladesh, to trouble England, want a surface where the ball grips and slows a little bit. Then even someone like Mustafizur becomes another bowler. Shakib and Mahedi, of course, are very good bowlers anyway. Gautam's favorite pick in fantasy cricket, Saifuddin, also will come and do a little bit.
Saifuddin will always be there.
Yeah, every time I think Saifuddin, I think Gautam Bhimani. Can you imagine? But those kind of surfaces, they are very well prepared. They're very, they suit them the best. I just think if it becomes a 165, 170 kind of surface, if it's a good hard surface, then England might have too much firepower to beat Bangladesh. So as far as I'm concerned, on that Abu Dhabi wicket, I think England are pretty strong favourites to win that one. If Bangladesh can produce a great performance, everybody in the world will be watching it.
Yeah, the only other name I'll throw out there, and this is courtesy Athar Ali Khan, who rates him very highly, I've seen him bowl as well, is Shariful Islam. He's just one of those characters in the side who comes in and picks up wickets. And if it's not out and out turn, maybe they had replaced Thaksin Ahmed with Nasum. Maybe they'll look at bringing a Shariful as a wicket taking option.
It's a possibility. I think it's a possibility, and I think again, Bangladesh has to play flexible in this part of the tournament, because as you say, if you have a surface that doesn't suit you, you have to make the smart moves. You have to make the changes, because I think this is playing to England's strengths. And England's strengths are the fact that they're going to try and biff you till number 8 and play as long as possible and say, I'm going to get a 200 or I'm going to chase down anything below 180. I'm going to chase easy.
You look at England on paper, they look very formidable indeed. Have they been tested yet properly in the tournament? Are they the kind of side that can go all the way? They've been tipped as semi-finalists for certain. Whether they'll play in India or Pakistan or in England in the semi-final will say a lot. Owen Morgan, always an enigma. Talked about it in the IPL. He even sort of hinted about it at the start of this tournament, Harsha, that there's a possibility if I ever need to sit out for a game, I might.
Yeah, but just as they'll worry about Morgan, they'll worry a little bit about Liam Livingstone because they really rate Livingstone. Now in the last game, they opted to go a bowler short and thought they'd get 4 from Moeen and Livingstone. As it is, the West Indies helped them with the balance of their side and allowed Moeen Ali to bowl those overs. Some other side may not allow that luxury. And then their only other option was Livingstone, who himself is not scoring runs. So I wonder whether they'll start to think, okay, we'll just keep Malan. Should we keep one of Livingstone or Moeen in the side? Can we afford both? Can Vokes come in and play at number 7? Those are the only things they need to worry about. But they might well say, look, that team was good enough against the West Indies. It should be good enough against Bangladesh. And let's see if Moeen and Livingstone can function that way together, because their style of batting always requires them to have an extra batsman down the line.
And also their preparation for this second game, Joy, has been a bit like Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan 10-wicket victory, therefore they wanted to tick a few more boxes. England 55 all out for the opposition. Well, have we done enough? Are we that unit yet? Probably the second game will tell more of a story.
It will tell more of a story, but see, I think I agree with Harsha's point, because see, if I'm a Bangladesh batsman and I'm playing in Abu Dhabi, which is, a pretty decent surface, I'd love to see spinners thrown at me, Whereas the West Indians absolutely struggled with spin, I think the Bangladeshis would far prefer facing spin than facing genuine pace. So the only thing is that Chris Vokes, what happens to a side is you put Chris Vokes in and say, okay, it's Abu Dhabi, Chris Vokes works, and he probably does. He definitely does work in Abu Dhabi. And then you have to go back for the rest of the matches to, if you're going back to Dubai or somewhere there, and then you're asking yourself, does he fit in now? Or have I made a change? And if Chris Vokes performs, have I changed that sort of operation of my side, the way my side is built? And then I have to make a change back again. So lots of these things.
I think their problem is Mark Wood. Because Wood pulled out late before the first game, he would have played that game against the West Indies. But because he pulled out late and they're not sure if he'll heal in time for the next one, because they want his pace going into the tournament, they'll probably not play him tomorrow. Unless, of course, he's healed really well, because that extra pace against a team like Bangladesh will be very handy. They'll want that extra pace. I just don't know if he's available. But do remember that even though Timil Mills is renowned for change of pace, he does slip over 140 quite easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are we making any possible suggestions that you could go with one less spinner, or you're saying don't touch the combination right now if Mark Wood is still not fit?
How many left-handers are in that side? There's Shakib up the order. How many other left-handers are there up the order for Bangladesh? If they've got to play Moeen Ali, I know we've got the England squad up. I was mentioning only because Moeen Ali and Liam Livingstone will both be predominantly off spinners. If Moeen Ali as a matchup worked beautifully against the West Indies because they had so many left-handers. Now, who else is a left-hander at the top? I don't know if they're playing Shaume Sharkar. They dropped him after the last game.
Correct. But
no, they don't
you've got Naeem Sheikh up there.
So if they have a 2-3 left-handers at the top order, then again the Moeen matchup might really work well.
Yeah, it's 2-3, 2 left-handers and 3 right-handers, 3 solid right-handers in Mahmudullah, Mushfiqur and Liton Das. So
the form of Liton Das is a bit of a worry, because I really rate Liton Das as a player, but he's not been getting runs recently. And the good news is that Mahmudullah seems to be coming back into form, but for some reason I've never understood. Briefly, Mahmudullah had moved up to number 4, but now he started to move back down again. And he's a better
7.
player. He's a better player than a 10-ball batsman at the end. Like Pakistan use Asif Ali, but they've got a lot of players up in front of him. The core for that side is Mahmudullah, Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim. So I just wonder if they should be batting 3, 4, 5, and Afif hits it big, right? So maybe they want to use Afif in that role. Yeah.